Chevre, let's get started. Obviously, the rabbi came, and it's funny. Over here, I have written Hanukkah Cafe, 25th word in the Torah. Oh, and honestly, the truth of the matter is, I'm sitting over there. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I won't speak tonight. Baruch Hashem, he counted with that. That I couldn't do. I don't think I could do that. But Baruch Hashem, we were zochet to have such a gadol with us. So the rabbi obviously gave a beautiful akdama on Hanukkah. We should know that Hanukkah really happened before the time of Matan Torah. So all that we know about Hanukkah comes down really a little bit in the Gemara, Masechet Shabbat, a little bit in Rambam, in Hilchot Megillah and Hanukkah, and a little bit in the Midrashim and the Mefarshim. Everything we know about Hanukkah. Most people know the story of Hanukkah and what happened over there. Just to briefly tell you, what happened was 2,000 plus years ago in the land of Israel. You believe it? 2,000 years ago there was a land of Israel? It wasn't called Palestine. It was called Israel 2,000 plus years ago. I don't mind me. It was called Israel 2,000 years ago, not Palestine, because Muhammad was 1,600 years ago, you know. It's a 500 gap between. Long story short, we see 2,000 plus years ago, there was a fight for Am Yisrael. And the Syrians and the Greeks. The Syrian Greek Empire took rule over Yerushalayim. And as the rabbi was saying, when the king came up to rule, one of the things he wanted to do, one of the Greek that he wanted to do, the leaders, he wanted to get rid of Judaism. He wanted to get rid of, not Jews, but he wanted to get rid of this idea of spirituality, of Torah from the world. So he started to impose harsh laws on them. For example, one of the things he did, the rabbi just talked about it briefly, every girl who wanted to get married, the day of her wedding, she had to go sleep with the Greek emperor. She had to go meet him, sleep with him, and he would take her virginity. Why did they do this? Because there's a law in Judaism that if a person is a Kohen, if a woman slept with a non-Jew before she was married, she cannot marry a Kohen anymore. So what did they want to do? They wanted to make the Kohanim, they wanted to get rid of all the high priests. All the high priests. So they have no one to get married to. They find a girl, they go on a shidduch, they like her, they get ready to go to the marrying day, boom, the day of the wedding, she goes and she gets raped by this king. Now she's pasul, now she can't marry him. They told them they can't keep Shabbat. They told them, you want to learn Torah? You can learn Torah. But learn Torah like literature, like they do in college. They give you Beowulf, they give you the Quran, and they give you the Torah, like a book of literature over there. And you have to go over it like a literature, like it's stories, sipurim. But of course, the Jewish nation, we know that the Torah is something much deeper. It has much deeper things into it, much deeper elements. And this is what they wanted to take away from us. The rabbi alluded to it, but the Yavanim, the Greeks, they're likened to Choshech. That's why Hanukkah, we light the menorah in the nighttime. What's nighttime? Darkness. And the Greeks are likened to darkness. Why are they likened to darkness? Because darkness is the absence of light. What is light? Light is spirituality. How do you know? On Shabbat, after Shabbat comes out, we know that on Shabbat you get an elevated soul. You're on a higher spiritual level. You want to keep it with you. So at the end of Shabbat you do Havdalah. In Havdalah, what do? You do three things. But one of the two things you do is Besamim and Ala Esh. You smell the incense and you do on the fire. Now what's significant about smelling and fire? Why specifically these two things you have to do every Havdalah? Because if you look at smell is not something tangible. Can't touch smell, right? If I wanted to pick up smell and hold it in my hand, I couldn't, right? I could pick up something that smells, but the smell itself I can't pick up. I don't have this, it's something intangible. And fire, maybe if I put on a glove or something like that, maybe I can hold it in my hand for a very brief period of time, but fire is also something intangible. It's something ruchani, it's something spiritual. It doesn't have a body. If you see it, they move, it's something spiritual in itself. So we're saying, when we do Havdalah, in essence, we want to keep the spirituality with us that we have from Shabbat. We want to keep it with us. When we come on Hanukkah and we light the menorah in the nighttime, what we're saying is the Yavanim, who resemble darkness, the absence of spirituality. They were chokhmah, they were logic, they were yofi. We'll talk about them more in extent in a little bit. But they are the absence of spirituality. Everything is in this world. And we light a fire in the nighttime to resemble that the spirituality lives on. The spirituality lives on within us. Of course, there are many stories within the fire within itself. Why we light specifically at night. We spoke about it in the past. Really, I spoke about it on Tuesday, but for people who weren't there, I'll say briefly. I have an idea that I think that many people will agree with. If you look at Hanukkah, usually, Parashat Vayishev and Meketz, the two stories that outline the story of Yosef HaTzadik, fall on Hanukkah, either on or before Hanukkah. Why is that? Because Yosef HaTzadik is the embodiment of Hanukkah. How is Yosef HaTzadik the embodiment of Hanukkah? What's significant? What similarities do we see with Yosef and Hanukkah? What do they have in similar? Let's look at the story of Yosef. Yosef, 17 years old, he was taken out of his house. His father tells him, go find where your brothers are. They're in Shechem, they're herding the cattle. And he goes, Hineni, and he gets up and he runs quickly to go do his father's will. And the Midrash relates that every time after that he would hear the word Hineni, his father would cry, how can my son be so steadfast to go, knowing his brother hates him, to go after his brothers, knowing that he might die? And even still, when I told him, he didn't hesitate, not even 1 second. He got up and he left. He got up and he left and he went. And what ultimately ended up happening, he gets to his brothers and his brothers are plotting to kill him. And they throw him into a pit and they throw him into a bor she'en bo mayim, a pit that has no water in it. Says Rashi, no water, but scorpions and snakes it does have in it. Meaning to say, imagine this now, you're a 17-year-old young boy. You're good looking, you're smart, every attribute in the whole entire world you have. You have 6 older brothers and another 4 on the other side, but you have 6 older brothers who are great people, huge tzaddikim, and you love them and you want to be close with them. And you come and they're plotting to kill you. And what are they doing as you're sitting in the pit? You would think maybe maybe they feel bad. It's their brother at the end of the day. Even if a person, his brother's wicked and they want to have to kill him, let's say, he still has to feel bad. It's his brother, no? Yosef is sitting in the pit. His brothers are up there eating food. Sitting down doing a suda. Around the bonfire, enjoying. One of them is making s'mores. Give me that cracker over there. They're enjoying themselves. Tanuk shel ha'chaim. Adi ad hamelech. Like nothing's wrong. Yosef sitting over there in his pit. He doesn't know what his future will be. Says the pasuk, the Ishmaelim come passing by. The Arabs come passing by and they were carrying incense that smelled good. And he smelled this good fragrance and he knew that Hashem was with him. Not to extend too far on this aspect, but over here we see one aspect in which Yosef resembles that of Hanukkah, which is what? Yosef is in darkness. He's in a bowl, he's in a well. This well is dark, pitch dark. His future is uncertain. He doesn't know what's going to be with him. And he has darkness all around him. His brothers hate him, they want to kill him. He doesn't know what's going to be his end. And he has just a little smell come up from the incense and it relaxes his soul. It shows him, there's good in this as well. And what does that teach us? Hanukkah, we light it in the nighttime to show us there's a light in the dark. There's a light in the dark. Every darkness a person goes through, every dark moment he has in his life, there is light. All you have to do is go out and find it. And that's what Chef taught us in this inyan over here, this piece. But continuing with the story, let's continue and really see what Yosef is and who he was. Not to be marich too much. Yosef gets up from the pit, he's sold to the Ishmaelim, to the Midyanim, back to the Ishmaelim according to the Midrash, and then he goes to Mitzrayim to be sold to the merchants. Now anyone who knows, whoever seen how it used to be in Egypt according to what they depict, when someone was sold as a slave, what would they do? They would bring out people in bands of people, 5 people, and they would stand out there and people would bid $2, $3. Now imagine to yourself, Yosef, not only was he handsome, he also was built. Yeah? Yosef was ripped, 17 pack. You don't know? Yosef was beautiful, handsome, strong, everything you could possibly imagine. He comes out over there with a line of Mitzrim, everyone is, one guy with a gut, one guy with a belly. All of a sudden you see Yosef, beauty like you've never seen. The only man in the Torah that says on him that he's so beautiful. The only man in the Torah that says a beautiful line is Yosef HaTzadik. His beauty you can't even imagine. Later on we'll see that when he gets to Potiphar's house, Potiphar's wife wanted him so much, and for years she's trying every day. She tells her friends, you don't know how bad I have it over here. She says, what happened? What's the big deal? Just a guy. What? There's a million guys out there. What could it be? She says, oh yeah? Come to my house. They came to the house. They were cutting over there lemons. And as they were cutting lemons, Joseph walked by. Next thing you know, they got so mesmerized. There's blood all over the table. What happened? They ended up cutting off their fingers. They couldn't take the eyes off him. He's so beautiful. I know the feeling. No, stop. No, I know the feeling of the cutting. No, I saw him too. Okay? Now Yosef was beautiful. So imagine now he comes to the merchants. Now who's standing over there? Potiphar. Who's Potiphar? He's the chamberlain of the butcherlings. He's the one who's in charge of slaughtering. Some say meat, some say people. Right? Whether he slaughtered, who knows? Now Potiphar is over there. Now in the beginning they called him Potiphar. Later on they called him Potiphara. Why did they change his name? Because he went from Bruce to Clayton. Yeah? Originally he was a man. Eventually later on in his life he became a woman. So what does the Mefarshim bring down? What do the commentaries bring down? Says, when he saw Yosef, he bought Yosef in order to play with him. What do I mean to play with him? In order to bring him into his house to do immodest acts with him. He brought Yosef to the house, and he sees Yosef doesn't play that way. Doesn't swing that way. So, okay, what can I do? Let me put him to work. He puts him to work. He's okay, I'm going to let him clean the floors, let him sweep the floors, let him do something in the house. And it says Hashem was with him everywhere he went. Now there's two ways to interpret that Hashem was with him everywhere he went. Either that he had a blessing in everything he did. Everything, he swept the floor, it was the cleanest floor you ever seen in your whole entire life. One time the Midrash relates, he handed him a cup. Potiphar told him, give me a cup of hot tea. He gives him a cup of hot tea. He's like, you know what, I want wine. He goes, it's already in your hand. The cup, it never changed. It's already in your hand. He goes, you know, I want cold water. It's already in your hand. He's looking at the cup. It's changing. As he's saying what he wants, it's changing. Hashem was with him. Now there's two ways to interpret Hashem was with him everywhere. One, that he had success everywhere he went. Another thing, everywhere he went, he would say, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Wow, he's so good looking. Baruch Hashem. Everything is Hashem, Hashem. Who am I? What am I? I'm nothing. All the success, all these things you attribute to me, the reality is it's not me. So what does it mean he had Hashem in his mouth? Everywhere he went, he attributed all the success to Hashem. That's, by the way, the secret to success. A person wants to be successful in life. Just the other day I was talking to somebody, and I see him, he's stressed out. He goes to me, you don't know, I lost this job, it was a big job. If I would have got this job, it was in the Legacy Castle in New Jersey. I don't know these places, but the Legacy Castle in New Jersey, it's a big one. He told me, Russian wedding, the Prime Minister of Russia was going to be there. I told him I really doubt the Prime Minister was going to be. I said, I really doubt that, but he goes to me, he's going to be there, they're going to have an orchestra, they're going to have a band. I lost a job and this and like that. And I told him, it's funny. I told him this is a way, Musar, in a way to kind of tell him, you have to understand, you have to look at yourself and analyze, do introspection to understand you're doing way too much. You believe way too much in your power. You believe way too much in kochi v'otzem yadi. Let go. Let Hashem take the wheel. Let Hashem drive. Guess what? As soon as you do that, as soon as you let go, success will follow. As soon as you say, you know what, I'm not the one in charge, Hashem is the one in charge, the success will follow you. Chad mashma'i. You don't believe me, go ask around. I said this millions of times. I said this in offices. There are people out there who actually listen to me, believe it or not. And they implement this in their life. And they see success. And not only do they see success, they have less stress, less anxiety. Because all that stress and anxiety doesn't change the fact that whether you're going to get the job or not. Guy sitting over there, he's thinking, yo, am I going to get it? Am I not going to get it? For 4 days, you can't sleep, you can't eat because you're just thinking about it. What is it helping you? Nothing is changing. All you're doing is killing yourself. If I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. If I'm meant to pateach, if I'm meant to become big, if I'm meant to become successful, become big overnight. Like this, you can become a successful. Hashem, if wants to, he can make you an internet celebrity in 2 minutes. He can make you the biggest wedding singer, you'll be the biggest wedding. Whatever Hashem wants, he can do for you in a minute. What's the problem? We believe too much in our power and our strength. We believe too much in our pe'ulot. What am I going to do? How am I going to do? Relax. You do your part, whatever your part is, according to the normal amount of what your part is. And the rest, you leave on Hashem 100%. This is what Yosef did. He said, I'm here in Potiphar's house. Everything good that happened to me, all the goodness, this cup to wine, tea, whatever you want, that's not me, it's Hashem. And guess what? He had blessing everywhere he went. Akidekach, Potiphar trusted him with everything in the house. Everything in the house. He told him, everything in my house, I trust with you except for my bread. Now there's a machloket, Rashi Tosfot, Rashi in the two, what bread means. One says bread literally means bread, because we know later on, we find out that when Yosef comes down with his brothers, the Egyptians hated Jews so much, it was so repulsive for them, they wouldn't eat with them at the table. So he told them, I trust you up to my food. Don't touch my food, because I find the Jews repulsive. It's according to one interpretation. And bread, and nechem, elayisha. There's no bread except the woman. So he told them, I trust you with everything in my house except for my wife. Up until there, you can have everything in my house, but not my wife. Okay, no problem. And everything, he became in charge of everything in his house, and everything flourished, he became prosperous. Now Potiphar's wife gets her eyes on Yosef. Now imagine now you have the most good-looking guy. The woman would jump over the gates to see him from Mitzrayim. They would gather all around just to see this guy. They were jumping up to see him. He's in the house with you 24/7. Now she's trying everything she possibly can do to arouse him. First things first, she comes to him, starts trying to talk to him. He doesn't even look away. Next thing, she says, okay, maybe I'll try to bribe him, some cash, some money. She comes to him with a couple of gold bricks and this and jewelry. She goes to him, listen, if you want. He goes, not even paying attention to her. Until she's verbally yelling at him, sleep with me, sleep with me. She couldn't take it anymore. She was becoming physically sick. The Midrash relates, she became physically sick. Her body became sick. She wanted him so bad, she became sick. Right, the Midrash also relates, what she do? She would change her dress 3 times a day. In the morning, a different dress. In the evening, a different dress. At night, every 3 different dresses a day, hoping he would look at her. 12 months. And then she started threatening him. If you don't sleep with me, I'm going to kill you. You don't sleep with me, I'm going to kill you. What do you want from me? Just leave me alone already. You don't realize, get the point. What do you want from me? Just leave me alone. Die, khalas, I don't want. That's it. No, she won't stop. She won't stop. Now, at that time, she found an opportunity after a year of badgering this guy, miskin, suffering with this woman. One point she told him, why won't you sleep with me? He says, because your husband told me I trustworthy. It's not nice. He didn't want to tell her I believe in Hashem, and because she wouldn't understand. So your husband trusts me with everything. It's not nice. She goes, my husband's a problem. I'll kill him. She's not only you want me to be an adult, you also want me to be a murderer. Leave me alone. What do you want from me? What is this? I don't understand this craziness. So I'm trying to get me out of here, but I can't go anywhere. Long story short, one day comes, then they had a certain festival over there when the Nile came up. It was a homage, and they would go and they would dance and would sing like a rave kaza. Yeah, all the Egyptians would go. Now the wife of Potiphar, she sees the opportunity. She says everyone's leaving the house, and I see Yosef's not going because he's not going to go to give praise to a fake god, to an idol. So he's going to be in the house. You know what? I'm also going to stay in the house. She decides she's going to stay in the house. Now it's just them two. Okay, now I'm going to seize the opportunity. She calls him Yosef. Bing, she dings the bell. Servant boy, you know? Yeah, look, the pool boy. All right, come. Come into the room. And now, we have to understand, we're not talking about over here a 97-year-old man that the Yetzer Hara is not with him anymore. It's not working anymore anyways, you know? It's talking to you about a 17-year-old boy, 18-year-old boy, in the peak of his, never been with a woman in his life, and you think Potiphar, maybe she was fat, she was ugly, maybe she had a mole on her face. It would be easy. Says the Midrash, she was the most beautiful woman in all of Egypt. Why? Imagine for the test. You're sitting over there, just you and her in the room. Now she's pulling you in, come, this, that, trying to seduce you. He doesn't know what to do. She comes, she grabs his shirt, and she pulls him in. Now he runs back, and his shirt comes off. Now Yosef wasn't a person like today. The guys are frequent to walk away with the shirts off. You know, it's like people, for them, it's normal to see without the shirt off. Yosef would never, you always be modest. As soon as he got the opportunity, he ran out of there without his shirt. Now she realized everyone, all the guards are going to see Yosef without a shirt, and it's going to be not normal. People are going to say, what's going on? Why is he not wearing a shirt? Also, it's going to be noticeable. So she says, okay, I have to do something about it. So what does she do? Right away, starts screaming. Amen. Starts screaming, he tried to rape me, he tried to assault me. Right? Amen. This is what happened. Potiphar gets word, all of Egypt gets word that the Jewish boy, the Israeli boy, tried to sleep with Potiphar's wife. Everyone gets word, such a thing. Now Potiphar comes back. Now Potiphar goes, what happened over here? No, he tried to seduce me. Now Potiphar says, really? All these years I'm trying, he doesn't even one word to me. What happened? Now Potiphar, obviously the Midrash relates that he knew that Yosef didn't do anything wrong. So why did he punish him? Because everybody already knew. Now everyone's going to hear that one, I know he didn't do it. Because I know that, there's no breaking Yosef. She goes, I know he didn't really do it. But at the same time, everybody heard, they're going to think I'm a flyer. They're going to think I'm a sucker. So when I do, I put him in jail. Where did he put him? Which type of jail? He put him into the one on the island over there, Rikers. And no, he put him into the federal prison where they play tennis. It was the nice prison. He puts him over there in the prison of the king, of the Pharaoh. He had a special prison for all the people who work by him. Put Yosef over there, and he was there for 12 years. And you should know, in that time, Yosef became like the manager of the prison. The keys were in his hand. He was walking around, the manager. I met, obsessed with him everywhere he went. And from there, he was able to he had over there, he saw the cupbearer and the chamberlain of the butchers, and he interpreted their dreams. And what he interpreted ended up coming true. So he tells the cupbearer, when you restore to your position, just tell Pharaoh about me, that I was wrongfully accused and I didn't commit the crime, and to free me from here. He ended up being 2 more years in prison until Paro had his dreams about the 7 fat cows and 7 skinny cows, and Yosef was able to interpret them and ended up becoming the viceroy, the second to the king. Okay, this is the continuation of the story. Next week we'll talk about that story more in depth. Let's backtrack. Okay? Yosef HaTzadik. Okay? By the way, they call him HaTzadik because of this test. 18 years old, one of the prettiest people in the whole entire world, him and her in the room, and he already got to the point where the Midrash relates that he almost fell until an image of his father came to him. He saw his father and he ran out of there. You can't even imagine what was going through his mind. What a test it was. When he became, by the way, when all the Jews came down to Egypt, he told them, when you leave here, take my bones with you. Now he brought so much prosperity to Egypt, the Egyptians mummified him, threw him into the Nile, because the Nile was a source of blessing. Yosef was a source of blessing. Let's put them together, 2 for 1 special. Yeah, they put them together. Now when all the Jews went after Makat Choshech to take from the Egyptians all of their goods, they would come to the house. Hello, my friend, we're leaving. Let me borrow some diamonds. Let me borrow some cash. I don't know, brother. I don't have anything. What do you mean? I was here yesterday. I know you have behind the balatot. I know you have behind the walls and underneath the bed and over here all the money. Ship, give me the money. Matzu chen benem, and they give him all the money. Now, where was Moshe at the time? Moshe actually went to the Nile. He wrote on a petek alesho. He threw this petek into the water, and the casket of Yosef HaTzadik came up. And he carried it out with him. And they carried it out of Mitzrayim, and they went out. They got to the Sea of Reeds. And by the way, in Hanukkah, we read Hallel Gamur, which basically means we read a full Hallel, a full praise, a certain prayer that we say. And in there we say a special part of Tehillim, which basically means, and the ocean saw and it split. So everybody asks, what did the ocean see that it split? The Jews came to the Sea of Reeds, they're standing over there, they wanted to split, and it's not splitting, doesn't want to split. Die, halas, no, I'm not splitting, stubborn like a mule. And then the Pasuk in Tehillim said, and the ocean saw and it split. What did the ocean see that it split? Says the Mefarshim, he saw the bones of Yosef. It saw the bones of Yosef. And out of amazement, out of shock, out of awe, it opened up. I can't believe the action that Yosef did that day with Potiphar. It was such a powerful action that it split. But who was there? Moshe, Aaron. No greater prophet in the whole entire world to ever live like Moshe Rabbeinu. He couldn't split it. But Yosef was able to split it because this test over here. Now what did he do that was so great? And what's the connection to Hanukkah? Boom, now we got to the point. Okay? Let's talk about what is Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the embodiment of the Greek culture into the Jewish people. What is the Greek culture into the Jewish people? Because all their job was, the Greeks wanted to do is, you stay Jewish, but adapt the Greek customs. So what were the Greek customs? We have to see. Every place had its own thing that it brought down into the world. Sparta and Marathon, what did they bring down into the world? Sports, fighting, UFC, gladiators, got bodies, jacked, big guys, statues, inyanim, the whole 9 yards, right? That's what they brought down to the world, this idea of sports. Now, what is sports? Last week I told the guys, you guys coming to the shiur? Listen, the Lakers game is on, this, that. Where did this idea come from? To skip out on Torah to go watch the Lakers game, where did it come from? From here, from Sparta, from Marathon. Now, we know that in Masechet Yomah, it says that when the great court existed, they actually called down one of the evil inclinations in the world, which was so powerful. Back in the time of the Tanaim, they had such a powerful evil inclination to go bow down to statues. Today, no one does idol worship except for a few select people in the world. But nobody has a ta'ava. You ever say to someone, I can't, bro, I have to go down to this. I can't, I have to go down to this bull over here. I can't, this little statue over here, I got to bow down to it. You ever see someone fighting himself not to bow down to a statue? Doesn't exist today. No one is fighting himself not to go bow down to the Buddha in the nail salon. Nobody. You know the Chinese lady giving the apple? You're not fighting yourself to give an apple. You don't care. Why? So Masechet Yomah says that the great Sanhedrin came and they killed this Yetzer Hara from the world. They destroyed it from the world. Now we have to understand something. There's something called Zeh Leumat Zeh. The world works on a balance, on an equilibrium. There always needs to be a balance of things. When you get rid of one thing, something else needs to take its place. For example, we know that in Shulchan Aruch, Kuf Tzadik Dalet, it talks about a woman who gave birth. And it says in the Pasuk in the Torah, tells us that for a boy, a woman will sit on 40 days for impurity, and for a girl, 80 days. And Rashid asks a question, why is the time doubled for a woman? Why is the state of impurity of a woman doubled in such a case? It says because a woman is more pure than a boy. So the absence of purity is greater, and therefore she needs to be impure to get herself back to equal a longer period of time. The boy, all he needs is 40 days. And for a girl who's on a higher spiritual level, she needs 80 days. So we see when something leaves the world, when something leaves, there's a void that's created that needs to be filled. So when this Yetzer Hara of idol worship left the world, which by the way was one of the most powerful Yetzer Harot in the whole entire world, at that time was extremely powerful, something needed to fill its place. What filled its place? That's exactly when the Greek Empire came. And it brought onto the world ta'avot, desires you cannot even possibly imagine. One of them, we said already, is sports. Another one, you ever heard of Alexander the Great? He was the king of which city? It was a Greek city called Macedonia. Now what is the idea of Macedonia? What did Alexander the Great was one of the first rulers in the whole entire world? And what was his claim to fame? What did he try to do? Control the whole entire world. So what's the second thing you try to bring down? Control. I have to control every factor of my life. Every factor of my life I have to control. I don't have the ability to let go. I want to control everything. I want to be in the reins. I want to be in charge. When things seem uncertain, I get worried. I get stressed. I want to be in control. I want to take over every situation. Second thing that came down. The third thing was Athens. Who knows what came from Athens? Philosophers. What's the idea of the philosophers? Logic. That my logic, my way of thinking is better. My way of thinking is better than God's way of thinking. Now Yosef, of course, embodied all three of these. But the last one is the one I came to talk about. The logic. This idea that my logic is better than God's logic. That the way I think is better than the way that God thinks. That's what they came down to the world. The philosophers, Socrates, Plato, all of them, what do they come down to the world to do? To disprove that God exists. Say, you know what, we're going to take God out of the world. We take God out of the equation. We have to prove the world in a way that God doesn't exist. So what did they do? They started to go, and they were very wise people. But this klipa, this desire, stayed with every single one of us. How do you know? Anytime you deal with something that's against your logic, you say, Hashem says, you know what, keep Shabbat, say for example. One person says, for me Shabbat, I don't get it. It's against my logic. Do you have the capability to say, okay, even though it's something that doesn't make sense to me, I have the capability to say, I'm willing to overlook the way I think because God wants me to do it. Where did this idea that my logic is better than God come from? From this place. Now, how does this focus on Yosef? Yosef HaTzadik is sitting over there with Eshet Potifar in this room. She grabs his shirt. Now, he doesn't know that if he's going to leave the room with his shirt off, that things are going to go crazy. He knows good and well that he's going to go and turn. So what would any normal person do? If you're sitting in that room, the woman behind you has your shirt, and you know that if she's going to leave without your shirt, then you're going to be in big trouble. What's the normal thing you should do? What anyone in the whole entire world is going to do? Turn around, grab the shirt, and then run out of there, right? That's what I'm thinking about it for a second. If that was me, turn around, give my shirt, and get out of there, put it back on as I'm walking out, and no one's the wiser. Continue with my life. Yosef had a very healthy life over there before this incident. He was very comfortable. The most logical thing to do is turn around. So why didn't he do that? Says Yosef HaTzadik, it's not worth it for me to put myself even in 1 extra second in this test. In this test that was so difficult for me, if I turn around, God forbid I may fall, it's not worth it for me for 1 second. Even for 1 second to turn around, close my eyes even, and grab the shirt, it's not worth it for me. Why? Because that's not what Hashem wants me to do. Hashem doesn't want me to turn around. And what did he get from that? He went to prison. What's the goodness that came from that? He went to prison. Okay, let's look at it. If he didn't go to prison, he wouldn't have been there to interpret the dreams of the cupbearer and the baker. If he wouldn't interpret the dreams of the cupbearer and the baker, Paro would never have got word that Yosef was a dream interpreter. If Paro never got word that he was a dream interpreter, he never would have become the viceroy in Egypt. If he never became the viceroy in Egypt, he never would have saved the Jewish nation, and none of them would be alive today. The famine would have came and we all would have died. Sometimes in life you think, you know what? I'm going to go with my logic and I'm going to win. If he would have went with his logic, the whole world would have been destroyed. The famine would have came and there would be no solution. But because he says, I'm not going to go with my life, I'm not going to turn around and do what Hashem wants me to do. I'm not going to turn around and say, I'm going to turn around in 1 second. I'm not going to do what Hashem doesn't want me to do. I'm going to stay away from what I think is right. Then I'm going to be zocheh. And that's what the ocean saw. Such a person who's willing to put his logic aside, who says, Hashem's logic is better than mine. The ocean says, now I have to split. Moshe never had such a thing in his life. All the great people over there that were there, all the Shvatim were there. Only one of them was standing out to the Yam. Only one of them was standing out to the sea, wanted to split, was the one who said, you know what? I'm not going to put myself in a test if that's not what Hashem wants me to do. Even though my logic says to. And that's something that's no get to every single person over here. There's times in your life where you're going to be dealing with a situation where your logic dictates to go this way. You have a deal on the table, and you know that if you don't tell this guy about this one leak in the wall, he's going to buy the property. What does your logic dictate? Sell the property, don't say anything, right? I want a check, I want that money, I want the commission. But what does Hashem want you to do? He wants you to be honest. So what's the right thing to do? To be honest. The right thing to do is to be honest. At the end of the day, a person has to understand that Hashem loves you. He's your Father in heaven. He only wants what's good for you. He doesn't want anything bad for you. If He's telling you something, just trust and believe. He has the ability to see things way beyond your comprehension. I said this class on Thursday, I say it again today because it was one of the most powerful stories I heard, and it happened to be about somebody I actually know personally. There was a story, I came across an interview, and I see a picture of a girl that I know. And I open up the interview, and the girl tells her story. She says how her and her 4 friends during the COVID pandemic started to make parties, small parties for her and her friends, because what else are they going to do? They're in lockdown. And they started with 4 people, and it became 15, and 20, and 40, and 100, and so on and so forth. They kept on growing. They started bringing DJs and alcohol, and the parties became getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Until one day they get a phone call, the whole friend group. The one who's the main guy over there, he says, I'm throwing the biggest party of my life. I got this DJ, I got this many people, we got this plot of land, who's coming? Of course, you comped, everything on me, bottles on me, tables on me, everything on me. Who's coming? And the 4 friends over there. 3 friends, of course they're coming. One of them is who's in the group. Yeah, of course I want to come. The biggest party. We've been building up to this. I want to come. Of course I want to come. She gets news a week before the party. We don't know how to tell you this. Your father, here in New York, was in a freak accident. He was riding a bike and a bus hit him. He broke his arm. He broke his leg. He's in critical condition in the hospital. We're working on him. He's going through surgeries now. Baruch Hashem, he came out okay. But he's in no state to operate his business, and he has a very big business. And of all the siblings, you're the one who knows the most about the business. So we need you to fly down and take care of the business. Now what's she going to do? On the one hand, she has the biggest party that she's been building up for 3 years, 2 years, waiting for this party to come. On the other hand, she has to go back. She comes back to New York, she has no choice. She starts working for the father's company and doing what she needs to do. And the whole week she's thinking to herself, Ezebasa, I can't believe I'm missing this party. I'm going to miss this party. It sucks. I'm missing this party. I'm missing this party. What a pain. The whole time. She goes to sleep Friday night. She wakes up Saturday morning, texts her phone. People are calling her, are you alive? Are you okay? Group chat of friends. One person says, I'm alive. She doesn't know what's going on. She hides the news. Who was her friend? This guy named Nova. What party did he throw? The party that was on October 7th. She was over here in New York, and she wasn't at that party because her father got into an accident. And he saved her life. This is a close person, someone I know personally. When I saw this story, first of all, I was in shock. And right away, I had this overwhelming feeling, because she was saying in the interview, I don't know why me? Why me? And I just felt it in my heart that I had to tell this girl, you need to understand and know how much Hashem loves you. Hashem loves you so much. He took you out of a situation with a pinceta, with the tweezer came and took you out and saved your life. And in the beginning, what did it look like? It doesn't make any sense. My logic doesn't make any sense. I don't fit in my mind. I don't get it. And in the end, you see what's true. You see the emet. What was the emet? Hashem was saving your life. I sent her a message, and I asked her if I can use this story. And without Hashem, she's going to come to one of the shiurim, God willing. And maybe when she comes, I'll introduce her. But we see from over here a very clear concept. Hashem loves you more than anything in the whole entire world. And He only wants to do good to you. He only wants to do good for you. So don't think ever, not once in your whole entire life, that by going with God, you'll ever lose. This is what the Greeks try to put into us. Think about your own mind. Forget religion. Forget spirituality. Be in the darkness. Be in the darkness. That's what they want you to be. But the Jewish people, as always, and we always have been, always will be, the light. That's what Hanukkah is. The holiday of the light. And that's what we are. The Jewish nation, the Jewish people of the light. And we always zocheh to find our light, our real light. Amen.